You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 297, for Sunday, the 26th of January, 2020.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls, or as we say in Yorkshire, "Hey up, Chuck." We are your guides to the place where dreams begin. And I'm here, in front of the mic, and I have my lovely friend Jane. Hello there, Janie.
Well, if we're going to do regional accents, I suppose because I'm Derbyshire, we say, "Hey up, me duck."
So you're my Chuck, I'm your duck.
Something like that, yeah. And then I've got northeast in me as well, so I tend to have a lot of, you're right there, hun, or pet. So, we could get really bizarre now, couldn't we, in our English terminology that we have going around.
We're going to get ourselves into trouble, so let's just walk away from that. Let's walk away from that. So this week we've decided we're not really going to do much of Disney news.
Nah, there's not an awful lot happening, is there, really?
To be honest, who really wants to talk about popcorn buckets and new Disney ears when there's food to talk about?
Well, if anybody who listens to this show knows us, Michelle, they know which we prefer talking about.
Yeah, but I want to start with a nice warm hug that we received this week.
Oh, okay.
So this is one of our iTunes reviews.
Oh.
So the heading says, "Like chatting with your closest Disney friends."
Oh, that's nice.
I've never met Michelle or Jane. Other than being absolute fanatics of Disney parks, we have nothing in common. Yet, after hours, and probably years, of listening to this podcast, I feel like we are close friends. And if I don't listen to the podcast for a while, I begin to miss them in the same way.
Oh, I'm feeling all warm inside now.
I don't want to cry again. That's lovely. Oh, thank you ever so much. I really do appreciate that. That's a lovely review. And I was reading it the other night when I was trying to keep myself busy because I was not focusing what was on the TV because something on the TV wasn't very pleasant.
All right.
And then we got another one.
Oh, wow.
And this is from our good friends over at Dis After Dark. They're one of their hosts, the lovely Nick Branch.
Hi, Nick.
He's called us a great show.
Oh, bless him.
And he says, "I'm slightly biased, as I've known one of the hosts in the Disney fan community for a while. But this is a great show to listen to, with great guests to boot. Keep it up."
Oh, thanks, Nick.
It's not biased at all to say that we are now part of the Dis After Dark podcast network at all.
No.
And I hope you've all realised that nothing about the show has changed apart from that little 15-second bumper on the end. It's just that we felt that we wanted to belong to a family of podcasts, and who better than another fine British podcast?
Yay.
And can I just say, I know in the past that Dis After Dark have been known for having a bit of a potty mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. Some of their content has not been PC or child friendly. They are relaunching, and the new show is going to be really good, but they've taken out all of that, and it's going to be really clean, something you can listen to in the car with the kids. And if you wanted if you'd like the dirtier Dis After Dark, it's still going to be available, but you've just got to be one of their Patreons.
Yeah, that's fair enough, isn't it?
That's fair dues,
Yeah.
So big shout out to the boys over there.
Cool.
We've got two big things we're going to talk about on the show this week.
Right.
We have got a World of Colour dessert party from Disneyland review.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the amazing guest that we interviewed the other night, Seth Kubersky.
Yeah, fantastic.
But I suppose before we start, shall I reveal the secret of the envelope?
Well, yes, because even I don't know the secret of the envelope, Michelle. Come on, spill the beans.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back all the way, holding my hand, to Disneyland. And I arranged to meet up with one or two listeners and friends that were going to be around Disneyland but didn't have park access. So I said, "Look, guys, I'm going to be at Tangaroa Terrace. Why not join me? You know, we'll have a chat, have something to eat, really informal, come along." So a fair few people did, and I've mentioned this before on the show. And the lovely Marla brought along the spirit jersey I'd sent her the money for, but she'd brought me a gift, and it was one of those magic candles.
Okay.
You know, that when you light it, it's got a smell that'll be reminiscent of a part of the theme park that pulls on your heart.
Yeah.
So she'd got me the Magic Kingdom one, and I was like, oh, it was beautiful, in a little box, and the candle is in a glass little jar with a lid. Oh, so grateful. So she basically said, here you go, thank you very much. And she gave me some other bits and pieces, which I love you for, Marla, thank you so much. I left there, and I was going into Disneyland to meet up with some friends who were just shopping in downtown Disney, so I weren't really going into the park, but I had a fair few bits of shopping with me myself that I'd done earlier in the day. So I plodded out of Disneyland Hotel towards the security, and before you go into downtown Disney at Disneyland, you've got to go through the security barrier type thing.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through the metal detector thing, and there's plastic tables at the side that you put your things on. The security guard smushes them along, and you get them at the other side, provided nothing's gone beep beep.
Yeah.
And they check through your bags.
Yeah.
So I'd put them on the counter. One person had checked through the bags, and I said, please be careful, there's fragile items in there.
Right.
So smushed them along. The person at the end got them, dropped them on the floor. And I heard a visible smash.
Oh no.
And I opened it up. The lady on the thing who was doing the security said, oh, has something broken? I said, yes, something has. I did say to be careful. You know, I said, that's why I said, please be careful with them when I passed them over to you, and you just smooshed them so hard, they literally flew off the table. They didn't just fall, they literally took flight.
Oops.
So I was not a happy bunny.
No.
So she called her manager over, and he said, look, this is what you need to do. You need to email these people. And I said, okay, what else do I need to do? I said, because obviously I'm not very happy because I can't replace this item. They don't sell it in the UK. And he said, well, if it had been from Disney, we'd have just gone and replaced it for you. But because it's not a Disney product, we can't do that. So you need to email these people. But you can always go to guest services at DCA or Disneyland and just check. So I schlepped all the way from the other side of Earl of Sandwich, where the security bag check is, all the way through downtown Disney, into DCA, into the queue at guest services, waited for a cast member to come and tell me exactly what I'd just been told.
Oh no.
That had wasted by that point an hour of my day.
Oh no.
I wasn't happy. I must admit, I was a little bit upset because I had visions of coming home, lighting the candle, nice lovely aroma of what the candle represented, and sort of, you know, it would have been a nice little reminder for me of the trip and the kindness that Marla went to go out of her way to get this for me.
Quite, yeah.
And I was quite angry, I must admit. Not angry as in shouting angry, but internal I was angry.
Yeah, upset angry. Yeah.
I don't get angry, I don't do confrontational, but I was upset. So anyway, gets back to the hotel and I sends an email to the said place to say, look, the candle got damaged, I just want to replace it, but I would also like you just to say something to your staff when member of the public say, please be careful, it's fragile. That
to pay attention.
Because it had been checked through, had the whole bag beforehand, so they knew I hadn't anything dangerous in there. And the interesting thing, Jen, is they let me into downtown Disney with that candle, which had a massive shard of glass, which could have quite easily done some damage to somebody.
Yeah,
and they didn't stop me. And that worried me. They should have said, no, all the glass has to go. You can't take it in the park.
Yeah.
Because that glass could have done a lot more damage because it was a very sharp shard. That, if I was of evil mind, could have done damage. And I feel the security didn't do their job by insisting that that got destroyed there and then.
Definitely.
So I did my little email. I got an email back. And basically a letter turned up yesterday when I got home,
Mm.
and I was a bit taken back by it because I think Disney would have gone, in my opinion, over and above what I dreamt of.
Okay.
I just expected to get a Disney gift card for $25, roughly the cost of the candle. I'd have been happy.
Right.
They've sent me a cheque for $25.
Right.
I've no idea if I'm going to be able to cash that, but I might just put it on the wall because I think it's so cool to get a cheque from Disney. It's like I can pretend I've earned something and whatever. But they've also sent me a one-day park hopper Disneyland ticket.
Ooh.
Which is worth over $100.
Yeah.
Okay, the only time I can't use it is Christmas, but yes, I've got an annual pass, but Tom hasn't. So he can utilise that when we go in the summer.
Yeah.
I think Disney handled that element incredibly well.
Which we know is what they're good for, isn't it? And sometimes I think with these sorts of things, Michelle, it's not necessarily looking for the compensation, whether it's monetary or replacement. It's actually just wanting to say, look, I'm trying to highlight an issue with your systems. You know, if people say X, Y, and Z, you need to take care and then think further on about it, because that's how I've always approached things in the past. When something doesn't go quite right, it's mistakes will happen. That's a given. But then it's a case of saying, look, had this have happened, or had you taken note of, this wouldn't have happened in the first place. So to get then something else on top of that is a bonus.
Yeah, and literally, if I'd have got $25, I would have been over the moon. Really
Definitely.
over the moon. Now, luckily, I got back home with all the bits and Tom's been able to make it work as a candle. Okay, it's not as decorative because it's covered in tin foil and cling film and whatever, but I'm still able to enjoy the nice aroma.
Oh, that's good then.
So that's something. But before I said anything, I wanted to let Marla know what had happened, because I felt awful because she'd gone out of her way to go and get this and it got damaged. And she's such a lovely, lovely lady that I didn't want her feeling upset by this.
No,
because,
absolutely, yeah.
So, anyway, so I'm really happy. So,
Good.
yay. So, shall we move on?
Yes, my dear. Go on then.
So, World of Colour dessert party.
So this is something you did when you were over there at Christmas time.
It was, and I had a plan to surprise my good friend Tommy and Lena to take them on Boxing Day to join me in this as a Christmas gift for them both, because they look after me so well.
They do, yeah.
Taking me out to Stonefire Grill and In-N-Out Burger and other takeaway restaurants are available, but not as good as burgers.
Not as good as, yeah.
But yeah, they do, and I wanted to do something really nice for them. But unfortunately, on Christmas Day, Tommy had a kidney stone.
Oh no!
I know! The poor man, literally, Christmas Day spent in accident and emergency. So on the evening, he did actually make it out to Disneyland, and I did tell him. I said, look, if you're not going to be fit, I'll cancel it. But this is what I have planned for tomorrow night. And he said, no, we'll be good. So, yay.
Bless him.
So let's go through the basics. World of Colour dessert party. What does it give you? What's the cost? What do you need to know before you go? And then I'll have a little bit of time to look at my viewpoint.
Okay.
$84, which includes tax and gratuity.
Right.
If you're taking a child under the age of 2, they can attend for free, but they are not given a seat and they've got to sit on the lap of an adult and share their food.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair dues. You can book this via the Disneyland app 60 days in advance. It's got the usual 24 hours sort of cancellation policy. And this does involve alcoholic beverages, so you have to be 21 years or older to consume the alcoholic beverage side. And they might need to ask your ID if you look particularly youthful. I was mortified nobody asked.
Oh, really?
Absolutely mortified.
Oh, that's such a shame when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it was dark, so I'm sort of thinking it was dark and he just sort of... I had a rough day as well, so that could be why.
Even more reason to ask, though, just to make sure if it's dark.
Yeah. It says that your check-in area is at Paradise Gardens Park and you should arrive 60 minutes prior to the start of the show. So we timed it that the show started at 9, so we went to line up at 8.
Yeah.
Ignore that advice. Arrive 90 minutes before, because that's when everybody else started queuing up.
Okay.
But hey-ho, you live and learn. So when you get to check-in, they ask if you'd like a high table or a low table.
Okay.
Having tried out both seats, my answer would always be high table. Unless there's somebody in your party who is in a wheelchair, then I think you'll feel a little bit out of it, because the high tables basically are bar stools with a back.
Mm.
And I think that gives you that really good elevation.
Right, okay.
So we did our check-in, decided what we wanted, got escorted to the table, and we were given the menu.
Right.
Now, obviously, when you book, you have to go through the rigmarole of saying if there are any allergies. Please ensure you do, because if you don't mention any allergies, there's not a lot they can do with it there and then.
Okay, so yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So our menu, there was brie, a mild cheddar and manchego cheeses available for you to select from.
Mm.
Green seedless grapes.
Mm-hmm.
There was a selection of different breads. I think there was a pretzel bread, some crackers, a bread twist, and something else. I can't remember what the other bread was, and it's not on the menu, so I can't help on that one. Then it goes to the dessert element. We had a holiday chocolate bundt cake, a holiday raspberry-filled shortbread cookie, which was amazing.
That sounds nice, actually, yeah.
It was so good. An apple cinnamon cheesecake, which, Jane, that had your name written all over it.
I was going to say apple and cinnamon, you got me, yeah?
Absolutely, but the thing is with it, it was tiny.
Oh.
If you look on the picture, it's the one in the middle with the little circle chocolate disc in red and white pinwheel.
Oh.
Yeah, tiny.
What are they doing to us?
I know. The cookie is the green patterned one to the side. Then there was a really nice gingerbread cookie.
Mm.
The bundt cake is the one at the back with the blue icing and the white star. And then the world's smallest macaron was at the front of the plate. And I'm not kidding, this macaron, when they said mini, they meant mini.
Yeah, it looks like a Smartie size.
It probably wasn't much bigger. When they say it was a bite-size one, a bite size of a bird, not a something plus 30-something plus VAT woman.
Right.
But was there sufficient dessertage on that plate? Yes, there was. In fact,
that's all right then.
The shortbread cookie, the gingerbread cookie, ended up going in a Tupperware and coming home with me.
Oh, okay then.
So there was more than enough. If I'm going to critique the desserts, they probably were too cold.
Too cold?
Yeah. They had these big sort of trolleys that they kept them in. And it was a particularly cold night for December. And the food, like brie, you've got to serve at room temperature. It's got to be a bit warm. Literally, I could have smashed a window with this little bit of brie because it was that hard.
Oops.
Yeah. So I just think we lucked out on the temperature that night because it wasn't at the right temperature because the cookie was cold, the chocolate bundt cake, it wasn't room temperature. It was just, they'd obviously kept them in the fridge too long.
Yeah. And not allowing for the fact that the outside air would be cold as well. So,
yeah,
just not taking them out soon enough.
Offered us 2 choice of alcoholic beverages, seasonal speciality and sparkling wine. The seasonal speciality, oh my word, Jane, it had pineapple juice in, it had vodka in, and a light bit of Sprite.
Okay.
It was amazing. I could have had 4. Well, no, I wouldn't have had 4 because I'd have fallen off the little bar stool. The sparkling wine, however, I could have used to remove nail varnish. It was not the best. It was very, very... You know, last week for the afternoon tea, I said it was amazing, their sparkling wine.
Yeah, not the same one then.
No.
No.
You had a choice of regular and decaf coffee, hot chocolate, hot tea, soft drinks, bottled water.
Okay.
So I had 2 alcoholic beverages, and I said to our server, I said, I'm a little bit cold. Could I have a hot chocolate as well, please? And literally, he brought me a hot chocolate just to keep my hands warm.
Oh, bless you.
It was really, really cold. And I think if Disney are going to look at trying to upscale this, a little blanket for my lap. That would have been a nice touch.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even want to keep the blanket. It's like one of those blankets you get on the plane. I'll give you it back at the night.
Yeah, well, we have it over here, don't we? Like pubs that are open in the summer, they'll often have blankets outside. So if you're sitting outside, when it starts to get a bit chill, you can just pull one over. So that's not a biggie. Yeah.
So plentiful food. I thought the selection and availability of the beverage was good. You know, you could have had both alcoholic beverages like I did and a hot chocolate. So I was happy with that. The food, there was plenty for us. As I say, temperature was the issue. But why would you book this dessert party? And that is summed up in 2 words.
Okay.
The view.
Right.
Lena and Tommy are locals. And
Yes.
Lena and Tommy had never seen that show as clear as that they did on that night with me.
Ah, okay.
It was an amazing view. You can sort of get the idea from the pictures. Nobody was in front of us with a child on their shoulders. We was in an elevated position and then sat on a high chair.
Right, okay, yeah.
Now, $84 is quite steep, but I felt for the 2 alcoholic beverages and the desserts and the view and not having to sort of be jostled around with other people in a crowd, I felt it was well worth my money.
And especially at that point of the year, Shell, as well. So it's something special for Christmas, and you're in a position where you're using it to mark a special occasion by treating friends that mean a lot to you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll put some pictures up on our website, DisneyDreamGirls.com, and you'll be able to see the amazing view, the food. I've got pictures of it. I've got pictures of the drinks, pictures of us all snuggled up and hunkered down because we were literally freezing. And we were having such fun with our server saying, can we have another hot chocolate hand warmer, please? Because literally we just waited for it to go cold and got another one. But yeah, really, really good. Loved it. Before, I was thinking, $84 is a lot of money. But actually, you think, well, 2 alcoholic beverages, you're looking at $30. And then the food, adding about another 20 or so for that. So that's $50. And then you're getting that experience.
Yeah.
If anyone else is going to be going to the World of Colour and you fancy trying it out, please don't forget, share some pictures with us. We would love to see what you think of it as well.
Definitely.
Now, Jim, we are going to move on for the main event now. We are going to talk to the man that has the book, who wrote the book, who knows everything inside out at Universal Orlando. And this is our wonderful good friend, Seth Kubersky. He is the amazing writer behind The Unofficial Guide. And I am so excited that we managed to wangle him on the show to come and chat with us. So let's sit back and put on that interview we did the other night.
Where dreams begin.
So that was a fabulous introduction there to our wonderful guest for this week. So welcome to the Disney Dream Girl, Seth.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate all the support you have given to the unofficial guides over the years.
You are very welcome, and I know we've tried to make this happen for a number of years. We've never really got as far as this, so I'm really, really excited because I had a big Universal experience over at Hollywood this coming past Christmas, and I know next Walt Disney World trip I will be going to Universal Orlando. It's decided, it's been moaned about for years. So rather selfishly, I wanted you to come on the show and basically tell me everything that's new. And I know Jane's not been, we're both, we're looking at 7-8 years between the two of us easily. And we both want to know everything there is. But firstly, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get to be in the position of writing the unofficial guide to Universal Orlando?
Well, I will start with a confession. I did not start off as a Universal fanboy. I started out as a Disney fan and specifically a Disney World fan. I started visiting Walt Disney World as a very young child back in the mid-'70s. And I actually got married at Walt Disney World back in 1996. And then immediately moved down there. I was one of the first people to get married at the wedding pavilion when it was first built next to the Grand Floridian. And then very soon after moved down to Orlando, specifically because I wanted to work for Walt Disney World. And I had visited Universal, and I was impressed with some of their attractions. I was not impressed with the way some of their attractions didn't actually work back then in the late 90s. But while I was going through rounds of interviews at Disney World to try to get a job there, I grew impatient and walked into Universal's hiring office one day and walked out a couple hours later with a job working on the Ghostbusters show, which is now long, long gone. So I did not grow up as a person who was obsessed with Universal Orlando, but from my experience working behind the scenes there, I really came to appreciate and enjoy the products they provide and kind of appreciate the differences between Universal and Disney. There's not as much pixie dust at Universal, but there's a little more energy, a little more excitement. It's a little more adult. The rides have a little bit more edge to them. And I think for a lot of people, especially those who have been going back to Walt Disney World year after year, and things at Disney don't change all that quickly, it's nice to take a visit over to the dark side, as we call it, and visit a place where there's always something new being built every single year.
Okay, that's a brilliant introduction. So before you even get in the park, you need to decide where you're going to stay when you're going into Orlando. Now, I imagine it is quite accessible. If you've got a car, you're staying over at Disney, you can just travel. But Universal itself does offer a wide range of hotels. Not as many as Disney, but they do have some, and each come with a little bit of a perk, I believe. Could you tell us a little bit about them?
Absolutely. If you are, maybe you've got only a week or less in Orlando, and you're just taking a single day trip over to Universal, it's real easy to use a rideshare service like a Lyft or an Uber and just hop over to Universal for the day. But if you're doing 2 or more days at Universal, I really suggest people look into the on-site hotels at Universal. They've got some really unique perks that don't come with the hotels over at Disney. The 2 biggest ones are you get early admission, an hour of early admission to one or sometimes both of the parks every day to ride the Harry Potter attractions. And that's definitely a big perk. And then if you are staying at one of the 3 top hotels, that's the Portofino Bay, the Hard Rock, or the Royal Pacific, you get a free unlimited express pass. And the neat trick is if you stay one night, you get that express pass for the day you check in and the day you check out. Depending on the time of year you're going, and if you've got 4 people in your room, that express pass is worth more than you're paying for the hotel room. Wow. And it doesn't work like a fast pass. Fast pass you have to schedule in advance, and you have a limited number of them you can use. With Universal's express passes, if you get them with your hotel, you can use them on virtually any ride over and over again at any time you want.
Ooh, I can see the benefit of that straight away.
Yes, especially if you've got teenagers who have a favorite roller coaster that they want to ride over and over again, or you've got a little kid who's obsessed with the Cat in the Hat and wants to go on over and over again. The only thing it really doesn't work on right now is the Hagrid ride, which is the newest ride and the most popular. So they don't offer that yet in order to keep the standby line moving. But everything else in the park, if you're staying at one of those premier hotels, you really don't have to worry about, waking up at the crack of dawn or scheduling exactly, what ride you're going to do when. You just show up and flash your pass, and you're on the ride in a matter of minutes.
That sounds absolutely brilliant. With regards to the hotels, is there any sort of specific theming to them? And is there anything with regards to, you mentioned that there's like a different tier rating of them?
Absolutely. Sure. They divide their hotels like Disney does into different price categories. The top 3 are the premier hotels, and those include the unlimited express passes. And they have not just, Disney has bus access to the parks. Universal, you can walk from any of those hotels directly to the parks in less than 15 minutes. Or you can take a water taxi, and there are scenic canals throughout the property. Those boats are free for anyone to use, and it's really gorgeous just taking the ride between the hotels and the parks at sunset. It's an attraction in itself. And then you have, a slightly lower tier of hotels like the Sapphire Falls, which still have the boat access, but don't include the express passes. Mm-hmm. And then you've got some value price hotels, which are priced significantly cheaper than Disney's moderate hotels. And they still have themes. For instance, the Cabana Bay, which is the most popular hotel right now, has got a great mid-1960s theme, like a beachside resort. It's even got a lazy river around the pool, which is pretty unique for a hotel. And all of the Universal hotels, even the value-priced ones, have great transportation to the parks. You don't get the included express pass for free, but you get the same early entry benefit at the cheap hotels as you do at the most expensive ones.
So that could give you a real benefit for getting on those attractions and getting them out of the way before non-hotel guests arrive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really great if you are into using the magic wands that they sell at the Harry Potter sections. You can go to Ollivander's and get matched with your own magic wand. And then that early entry morning, it's a great hour so you can wander around the area with relatively few people there and cast the magic spells that are hidden all around the location without having to fight through the crowds.
Sorry, yeah, that sounds really cool. Actually, I must admit, I've got a friend who went out last year, and she did exactly what you just talked about, Seth. She stayed predominantly at Disney, but then kind of in the middle of her vacation had a couple of nights at the Hard Rock and took advantage of exactly what you've just talked about. So I hadn't completely got my head around it, but now having spoken to you, I can completely understand why she did that. And to get in and get those benefits early on, especially in the morning with Harry Potter, is a real plus. Talking about Harry Potter, and obviously there's the new Hagrid attraction. What would you say as your must-do attractions at Universal now? So it's a long while since I've been. I think I'm going back to like 2011 since I was last there. So a lot has changed since I've visited last.
Sure. Well, Hagrid is the newest attraction right now. It's called Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. And it is a family-friendly roller coaster. It's not as intense as the Incredible Hulk or the Dueling Dragons, which used to be located where Hagrid's is now. You sit on a motorcycle. Actually, one person sits on the motorcycle and the other person gets to sit down in the sidecar. So there's two slightly different experiences depending on which side of the vehicle you sit on. There's no upside down loops, but there's a lot of fast launches and highly detailed scenery, animatronic creatures, and some real surprises. There's really no other roller coaster in the world like it. And it's definitely in the top 5 must-dos at Universal now. You've also still got the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey attraction, which was the original Harry Potter headliner, which is still going strong. And then over in Diagon Alley at the other park, you've got Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, which is a combination of a 3D simulator and a roller coaster indoors based on the last Harry Potter movie. And that, those three, you could walk in and just do those three rides and leave and probably feel like you got your money's worth. Outside of Harry Potter, you still have rides like The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, which is over 20 years old now and is still one of the most advanced rides in the world. And you've got some classics still, like the E.T. ride, still going strong. And Revenge of the Mummy and Men in Black are still really popular. Universal's added some new attractions in the last couple of years at the studios, like Jimmy Fallon ride and Fast and Furious, which are popular with fans of those characters or those people. But those are more 3D based, more screen-based simulators. And more recently, Universal's really taking a turn towards physical attractions, things involving real sets, real animatronics. For instance, their Bourne Stuntacular coming up. It's replacing what was the Terminator 2 3D attraction. Instead of using 3D, you're going to have real props and sets in front of a LED screen, but being interacted with live stunt actors. And that's going to open up this spring.
Cool.
That sounds very exciting. Is there anything else in the pipeline? Because you mentioned earlier on that Universal seem to be at the moment, they literally don't announce anything and then all of a sudden something opens, because with Disney we're used to the fact that you have a 6-year wait for something to open up. Any ideas of anything that could be coming to us in the future?
Sure. Well, if you take a walk through Islands of Adventure right now, you cannot help but notice that Jurassic Park is a big construction zone. Jurassic Park River Adventure ride is closed for refurbishment right now. Now, out in Hollywood, they converted that to a Jurassic World ride. I don't think they're doing that right now at Islands of Adventure, but what they are doing is building a big new roller coaster, which will probably be the tallest and fastest roller coaster in all of Universal. It's got a Velociraptor theme, and it runs through what used to be the Triceratops encounter. For people who visited Universal in the first few years of Islands of Adventure, you might remember a long extinct attraction where you got to interact with a robotic Triceratops dinosaur. That's sat dormant for almost a decade, and that's now been leveled, and there's big construction cranes and a massive new roller coaster. Definitely the most extreme thing that Universal has built is going to be coming. Will not open this year, but probably will open in 2021.
Oh, sounds very exciting. And that ties in perfectly with my next Florida escapade. So that would be brilliant if they could have that open just for me.
Of course, you'll have to come back in 2023, which is when we're guessing that the whole new theme park will open. Epic Universe, which is going to be built on expansion land that they built a few miles south of their current property. And that will be a whole nother episode that I'll have to come on and talk about.
Well, that sounds brilliant, because there's this sort of competition between the two. And I think as a theme park fan, this is great for us, because as these two companies keep sort of trying to outdo each other, we are getting more and more exciting, exhilarating experiences to go and have. And it's great for us.
You're absolutely right. Even if you never want to visit Universal Orlando and you are a diehard Disney fan, you have to admit you got to owe Universal a debt of thanks, because we would never have seen Pandora built or Galaxy's Edge built on the scale that they were if the Wizarding World of Harry Potter hadn't come in and given some serious competition.
So we've mentioned about the hotels and attractions and the future. For me, the attractions are things you do in between what you eat. Now, if I say to somebody, right, this is what the iconic things are to eat at Walt Disney World, you know, you're going to be talking about things such as maybe turkey legs, Dole Whips, churros. Is there anything that you cannot go to Universal without trying or eating at a particular eatery for?
Well, I will give you a little secret. You can get turkey legs and you can get churros, and you can even get Dole Whip at Universal, and they're actually a little cheaper at Universal. But the number one thing that you have to try if you go to Universal is butterbeer. Obviously, it's the big drink at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. It's not alcoholic. It's kind of like a vanilla cream soda with a marshmallow butterscotch topping. And they have to serve it to you with the topping. But you've got choices between a cold version, a frozen version, and my absolute favorite this time of year, the hot butterbeer. So you pretty much have to get a selfie of yourself with a butterbeer mustache when you visit Universal. Universal doesn't have quite the wide range of restaurants that Disney has. Disney has Epcot, which has so many fantastic ethnic restaurants. But what Universal does have is really surprisingly high quality, especially if you go out to City Walk, which is the entertainment and dining district that separates the parking garage from the parks. You've got some unique Universal-created restaurants there, like Vivo Italian, Big Fire Steaks, and especially the Toothsome Chocolate Factory. That one's been a big hit since it opened a couple of years ago, and you really can't go wrong with chocolate for dinner.
Absolutely. Dinner, breakfast, the lot. Let's just live on chocolate. And I must admit, I've looked at their restaurant and the theming and the steampunk-esque side of that, and it just looks an amazing place just to go and look in, let alone indulging in all the chocolate goodies.
Yeah, I'll give you a secret. It is very, very popular. They do not accept reservations, so there's often a long wait for a table. But if you ask them to let you go upstairs, there's a gorgeous bar upstairs with plenty of seating, and you can order the full menu sitting up at the bar.
Ooh.
Perfect. We've talked about all of it in together. Let's think a little bit about seasonality, because there are different offerings at different times of the year. So could you go through a little bit about that to help us decide which might be the best fit for us?
Sure. A lot of people, when they visit, is dictated by their kids' school schedules. Christmas break, spring break are very, very busy times. I feel like a busy day at Universal is still not quite as packed as the same busyness at Disney, but you can find some really, really long lines at those peak times. If you can, a great time to visit is from late August through October. The weather is cooler here than it is at the peak of summer. Kids go back to school in Florida in the last 2 weeks of August, so the parks are a lot less crowded at that point. And most importantly, they bring out Halloween, which is an extra ticket event in the evenings. I think this year it's going to start at the very beginning of September and run all the way through October. And it is easily the premier haunted house attraction in any theme park, probably in the world. They do 10 haunted houses, and they're based on a mix of famous movies and characters and also original concepts that the Universal team comes up with. There are shows, there's lots of drinking. It's a big party. It's a little adult. People do bring their kids, but it's definitely attracts an older crowd. And it is a huge amount of fun. There are people who buy season tickets to Halloween and just come back night after night.
And I must admit, our good friend James from Creepy Kingdom podcast came on and spoke to us a little bit earlier on in the year. So not earlier on in the year, came and spoke to us towards the end of 2019 about all of the different options with regards to going to horror nights. And it just sounds really good, but he did offer to hold my hand because I am a little bit of a horror wuss.
Well, if you are interested, but you don't know if you can handle all the people jumping out at you, during the daytime, during Halloween, they offer behind-the-scenes tours. where they let you go through the haunted houses with the lights on. And that allows you to appreciate all the detail and the special effects and the story that goes into them without the danger of, a monster jumping out at you.
Oh, I like the sound of that, Michelle. That's Port Bow Street, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but the idea of walking through with James holding my hand looking after me as well, and an adult beverage in my hand also did appeal to me, because he does look after me, does the lovely James.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
And if you can come during the Halloween season, another great season to come is the season that we're just getting into now, which is Mardi Gras. It starts in early February and runs till April. And they do an authentic Mardi Gras parade. The floats are designed by the same people who build the ones in New Orleans. And they have Cajun food and live bands. And the great thing about Mardi Gras is, unlike Halloween, it is included in the regular price of your ticket.
Oh.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so you've sold us. But I want to do a bit more research. So, come on, this is the bit where you can tell us where we can get in-depth information about Universal.
Well, I am a little bit biased, but I would recommend that your listeners pick up a copy of the unofficial guide to Universal Orlando 2020, which happens to be written by someone who has the same name as me. And you can get that at theunofficialguides.com, or you can also find it in any bookstore or your preferred online bookshop that may or may not have Prime shipping. So the book, the 2020 edition, is out. It was updated just at the end of last year, and it's got all the latest information about the Hagrid ride that we were talking about, detailed reviews of all the hotels, all of the restaurants, and every single ride. It'll let you know everything you need to know if you need to avoid the scary rides that go upside down, or if you're looking for the best things for kids, or if you're looking for a certain kind of meal. Anything you would want to know is in the guide, and it kind of walks you through, starts with picking the best time to go, and then where to stay and what kind of tickets to buy. Kind of leads you by the hand through the stages of planning a Universal vacation. And it's also kind of designed so that we know a lot of people have probably visited Walt Disney World, but they're not as familiar with Universal. So it kind of gives you some comparisons and lets you know what's similar and what's different about the experience.
And when we're talking about it being a book, we're talking 400 pages here, and it's packed.
Yeah, it keeps growing every year. We're up. We've hit 400 pages, which yes, it's. You can even use it as a cushion to sit on while you're waiting for a parade. Or if your spouse is not listening to you because you read the book and they didn't, you can just smack them in the back of the head.
Oh, I like that idea. I like that idea. But it does have everything in. And we on the show are really big fans of the unofficial guides, because they are a brilliant planning tool for people, because we are massive advocates of do your planning, because the planning is just as much fun as the holiday. And I'm starting on planning for a cruise with my other half, and he's never been on Disney Cruise Line, so he's like dipping into the unofficial guide to the cruise line. And again, it's everything you need to know. It doesn't bombard you with unnecessary stuff. It's the essentials that you need to get the best out of your vacation. And when you're paying so much to go to these theme parks, on a cruise, whatever, it's a small few dollars to pay to absolutely get the best experience. So guys, we'll put links on our website, DisneyDreamGirls.com. Please go, please buy. You will not regret it. And as Seth said, you can hit the other half if they don't listen.
That was the best plug I've ever gotten. Thank you so much. The check is in the mail.
Oh, you are so very, very welcome. Is there anything at all that you'd just like to add before we end off our little discussion about Universal?
Just, the book is as comprehensive and as up-to-date as any printed material can be. It's But Universal is obviously a moving target. So if you want to follow us on Twitter at the UG Series, or if you go to the unofficialguides.com, we have links to all of our social media and our YouTube channel. And we are constantly posting updates from inside the park. We're there every week, and trying to keep you guys up to date on what's happening.
So how many times a week would you dip yourself over to Universal then?
I visit Universal a minimum of once a week and often twice a week. And then I also visit Walt Disney World at least once a week.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
That's a hard life, isn't it?
Lately I've been waking up very, very early to ride Rise of the Resistance. So it's not all, though you probably wake up even earlier than I have to for school.
Yeah.
It'd be worth it for Rise of Resistance, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not for the other attraction, though.
We'll talk about that on another episode.
Absolutely. Well, you've heard where you can find Seth if you want to get in touch with him. You've heard where you can get the books, find out more about the Unofficial Guide, and follow them on all their social media channels. Seth, thank you so much for joining us today and educating us and persuading us. Jay, come on, are you going to admit now you're going to go to Universal when you go to Orlando next?
I would think there's a very strong chance that we may partake in a day or so, yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Another convert. Another one introduced to the dark side.
Well, for a day, maybe.
Oh, no. Got to stay in a hotel and get those absolutely super duper passes.
That's very intriguing, that is, I must admit.
Perfect.
Yeah, it spoils you. Once you go that way, it's really hard to go back.
Right, guys, well, let's sign off for this week's show, and that's a goodbye from me.
And it's bye from me.
Thank you so much for having me.